This is a video of my 2016 Winnebago Travato 59G, and recorded this of the interior, follow up on the previous video done of the exterior. This unit is original owner, heavily modified and customized, that I wanted to demonstrate some of the features. This first one showing here is the rear view mirror dash cam, and right now you see it in the off position. As I turn the van on, it boots up. I showed you the exterior camera in the previous video. This is the view. It's a true mirror image, so you use it as a rear view mirror as well. It is recording both. The red light flashing up there shows that it's recording. It is both a front dash cam. There's the front view, touchscreen, and it is recording in HD, both front and rear, with an SD card that will allow you to both record audio and video, and lock any incidents that may occur. I had somebody almost tap the rear, and I felt like that would be a good impetus to go ahead and get this unit. Plus, I like having the rear view camera. The video quality is exceptional. The night vision is really exceptional as well, and it improves the security and all around usability of the unit. I will show here in just a minute a comparison with the rear view camera that's stock on the unit, the Dodge U-Connect system that it has, and this shows you a much better view. And as you can tell, there's also a couple of options you can set. This has got military time on there. Since it does replace the true rear view mirror, I added both a couple of clip-on vanity mirrors, which are real nice if you do need to take a look at yourself or your passenger. And now going across the dash, just trying to show some of the features. I'm pointing here to the sort of fake plastic trim that Winnebago adds on there. They originally had it around the vents as well. I went ahead and pulled that off because I think it reflects in the windshield, and it also, I just think it makes it look a little nicer. So those have been removed. I do have them if you want to put them back on. I kept them. I did wrap the wheel in leather, and this has got a sewn-on custom leather wrap, which appears to be stock. It really takes it up a notch. The comfort level, the feel is really nice, and that was one of the more enjoyable upgrades as far as just daily drivability, usability. It really improves the comfort level. So the unit is on now, and the engine's running, so you can see the mileage, 49,639. The mileage is obviously higher than you'll find on most that are used strictly as RVs. I use this as a mobile office, daily drive, and I have taken it on several extended trips, so it's got a nice mix of highway and local mileage, which means that all the systems are fully checked out. Everything's been meticulously maintained, oil changes regularly with Mobil 1 and Wix filters. I have a K&N air filter on it, and as I said, it's garage kept, so it appears in perfect condition and runs very well. I've had really no mechanical issues at all. Nothing that I've had to have repaired or needed to repair, but everything has been run very regularly, so it's in very good shape. It does have newer tires, Michelin tires I put on about a year ago, which are a nice upgrade over the stock units that come on the Dodge ProMaster. Running through the menu that you have, it does have a trip odometer, and does have a mileage reader. I don't use it very often, so you can see the trip A. I haven't reset in over 9,000 miles. So the mileage that it calculates is a pretty good average of everyday driving, both a mix of highway and local. And so you see about 14.5 miles per gallon is what it's reading. On the highway, I'll get upwards of 17, 18 miles per gallon on an extended trip, running at cruise speed. But with the V6 gasoline engine, very economical, much better mileage. You may have seen in a few minutes ago the front view that you see my Class A RV we've had for more than 15, 20 years. And I'm lucky to get 7 miles per gallon. So that's a remarkable mileage for an RV that's taking you places and carrying your home with you. So on the B trip meter, which has been reset a little bit sooner, registering really just daily driving drops down to a little bit below 14 on the B odometer. And so limited capacity on that menu just pretty much gives you mileage, time, distance to empty. Panning across then on the dash itself, just pointing out a couple of other features in here. You can see that I've got a little device there. It's a little wireless sensor for the refrigerator temperature. That's recording both the inside temperature. Here's a pretty warm day in June. We're reading about 92. I just started the unit up with air conditioning and had it unplugged, so the refrigerator climbed a little bit. But now it's starting to cool down. It's currently sitting at 54, and hopefully will continue to drop as it runs or as I plug it back in. But I have that there so that while I'm driving, I can keep an eye on the refrigerator just in case anything was to be amiss if I forgot to switch it over. It is not an automatic switch over, so you have to remember when you unplug to switch it back to 12 volt or to light it on the LP setting. It's a 3-way refrigerator. Generally, if I'm driving on a day-long trip or something, I'll switch it over to 12 volt and just let it run off the engine. And you can keep an eye on the temperature there. The dash system, as I mentioned, Uconnect. It's a Dodge version, and that's a touchscreen. Has your basic, AM, FM, Sirius XM. It's Bluetooth capable, obviously, and it includes the backup camera in the system. So you watch here as I shift into reverse. You can see you got this tiny little picture. It is up high, so you get kind of a downward view with the bike racks and the ladder kind of obstructing. So I really prefer that much wider view. And when it is in reverse, you do get the backup lines, and they are adjustable. I don't rely on it 100%, but it certainly is nice. And the wide view is wonderful because if you're sitting in a parking space and you can't really see past a vehicle next to you, you can see cross traffic coming. Here's the passenger seat, and it's spun around into the camping setting, so it serves as a nice seat. I typically sit there when I'm working or watching TV in the evening, eating dinner or whatever. So we're going to start an interior tour by jumping to the back of the unit. I've got the covers over the back windows. There's windows in both doors, but I keep those covered pretty much all the time. Prefer the privacy that affords and not having to put those back up. They do have a tint on them, but nighttime or whatever would be quite visible. There are a couple reading lights over the back bed, and they have a nice kind of blue LED light, which is really comfortable at night when you're doing some reading or whatever. And one of the first improvements that I made on this bed, Winnebago equipped it with a seat belt that holds it in the upright position, but they put a fixed length on there. And I've changed it out to an adjustable seat belt, just a standard automotive seat belt. And the reason for that is when you drop the bed down, and we'll kind of give you a view here of the bed, we'll come back to why that seat belt is kind of important. And I think Winnebago may have since changed that and done what I've done. This is a Froley sleep system. These are kind of adjustable supports for the mattress. They have some inserts that can be added to create pressure zones, and I'm just kind of replacing a couple of them. They pop on and off real easy, so you can adjust it to your own preference. I pulled the sheet off, so I wanted to show you the mattress. It's in pretty much poor condition, and once you fold it down You get a oversized twin, basically. Would be cozy with two. It's more than comfortable for a single person. I've probably only slept in here maybe 10, 12 nights total. I use it mostly as a mobile office, as I mentioned, and a few extended trips that I've taken to shows and those sorts of things. It's got a real nice window that opens next to the bed. Pull down shades on there. Apologize for the phone. And little shelf on the wall to carry whatever you might need to put off to the side when you're sleeping in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold it up. There's a little bin you saw just before there, and now I'm kind of struggling one-handed with the camera and the seat belt to fasten it back up. But what's nice about having the seat belt, back to that, is that if you put your bed linens on there, you have a sheets, maybe a sleeping bag, a pillow, whatever, you can actually fold those up in there, and with that additional belt length, you can comfortably store all of that stuff in there and not have to fold it up and store it somewhere else. Storage is very critical inside these Class Bs. So anywhere you can find to kind of leave things where they are, put them away, as you need to, the better. There's also a USB charging 120 volt outlet that's accessible from the bed when it's down as well. So if you need to plug in your phone, you can do that. On the underside of the bed, there is a mesh storage pocket system, and I use it for assorted things when I'm traveling. I've kept dirty laundry in there. I've kept bed linens, other different stuff. But generally on a daily basis, I just keep some straps in there. The door panels were all removed. The doors were fully insulated. As I said, this unit has been modified for 4-season camping, so I'm going to be showing you some of the improvements that I made. I also put some anchor points in here, so if you're carrying a bike or some other goods in the back and you want to strap it down, there's really nowhere to attach your hooks on your strap. So I added these clip-in latch points, and there's 4 of them. You see the one that's on the right rear. As we're facing rearward, I've got 4 of those that are available to clip in, and as well as in the under storage here, some items that go with the van: leveling blocks, a compressor, a tire repair kit. I do have winter chains. I've never used them, but I purchased them just in case I was somewhere and needed to deal with a little bit of snow on the front wheel drive. I think the chains would make a big difference. So I have a set of real nice German chains that will work on the front. There's that second anchor point over on the left. And then as you turn around here to the front, I'll show you the third anchor point on the driver's side, as well as a 4th anchor point on the passenger curb side. And so you can connect those straps with the hooks, the D loops, and then hook in your straps to those and strap anything down to keep it off, banging around. There's also overhead storage compartments on the driver's side. A few items kind of loosely jammed in there for the time being. I've got some towels and some paper towels and a few pieces of gear. It does run completely through. There's no divider there, so if you do have something long, a hiking pole or something you want to slide up in there, you can easily do that. Moving on into the bath, it's a wet bath, meaning a combination shower toilet. It's 100% contained. It's tight, but it's I'm 6'2", and I'm able to maneuver in there. It is a shower, as I said. The floor is a shower pan. There you see the drain. I've got a little catch over there to capture some of the hair and stuff that keep it out of the system. It's got a storage compartment over top of the toilet. It's great for pretty much all the toiletries and things that you'd normally need to carry for a couple of folks. Could be probably divided up a little bit better. I just kind of loosely have put some trays in there, chemical for the toilet. There's a shower curtain that snaps on. You see some snaps in the wall to separate that area if you want to kind of contain the moisture a little bit better into the sump, but everything is waterproof. Toilet is in great shape. Not the highlight of the video to look inside the toilet, but there you go. Everything works as new. Have a separate sink, which is kind of a nice feature, with waterproof storage for toiletries or toilet paper. I think you can hold about 4 rolls of toilet paper in those too. And then another feature that I've added to customize this was a light. It's wired in with the overhead bath light, but it's on a separate switch to override. And what's nice about that is if you're shaving or makeup or whatever in the mirror here with the light behind you, it's usually pretty shadowy and very hard. So that light hitting you right in the face gives you a nice detail light that you can use for the mirror for your personal hygiene. And there's the shower switch, and that is a pump that's on the sump of the shower. So you need to put that on when you're taking a shower. And we move now toward the galley area, and it does have a nice storage cabinet with a sink, a fold-up faucet. It has a 2-burner propane cooktop with a glass cover, and everything works perfectly. I really only use that just a handful of times. Has a nice glass heat shield up above there. Keeps everything clean. I've installed a paper towel holder in a real convenient location. Another rack that Winnebago puts in. Some people have added some additional things on this wall, magnetic, wall board or whatever, but I found that to be perfectly adequate. There's also a cable TV connection as well as an outlet here. The reason being that the TV is not viewable from the bed. So if you do want to watch TV while you're in bed, you'll have to place one on the countertop, plug it in, and wire it through that connection there. And that would work just fine, but you need to have a separate computer monitor or TV. And I'll show you one that I carry here in a minute. I just put a soap container there with some Velcro. I also added a little over-the-door towel rack for your dish towel. And then underneath, storage for cleaning supplies, what have you. The water filter. This has been replaced and upgraded with a water filter that is more readily available. It's a 3M. You've got a couple different choices of filters you can put in there. This is a filter I just changed and lasts about 6 months and filters all your cold water going into the faucet. So when you're making coffee or using it for cooking, whatever, you do have filtered water going in there. Underneath here, if you remove the cleaning supplies, you have access to the water pump as well as the filter for the shower sump if you need to clean that. There's 3 drawers, as you saw, also under the cooktop. Above, there's a overhead storage compartment. It handles all your utensils, cooking items. I've got a small coffee maker in there as well as nesting pots and pans, which all, again, go with the unit. Moving to the opposite side, we have a microwave, non-convection, but a standard microwave above. There's a small storage compartment. It's big enough for a toaster or small travel iron. I've got some first aid supplies. Mine's been reduced a little bit because I built a little box in there. You'll see in a little bit later why that box is there, because I've added some control components to the wall. The refrigerator is the standard Dometic unit that comes with the RV. It's a 3-way. But one of the first changes I made, this door used to extend all the way up there, which meant you had to open the door in order to change the settings, which was just stupid because you let your cold air out to switch it between 12 and 120 volts. So watching a video that James did on the Fit RV, I stole his idea and went ahead and modified that, cut it down so that you could access that. Refrigerators, plenty of storage space for a unit this size, really a remarkable size fridge. Again, I carry mostly water and a few snack items there, critical M&Ms. But when you're traveling, you have plenty of space. A good-sized little freezer, got ice going in there, but enough room for half-gallon ice cream or a couple of frozen dinners or whatever you might like. I've got another wired sensor on here that registers both inside temperature as well as refrigeration, but it's got a little alarm on it, just again to remind me if there's any issue that I need to address with forgetting to switch it over. Next to the refrigerator moving forward is a wardrobe, and that's a nice space. I've seen some people, oh, I forgot, I did want to show you the refrigeration fans that I added. I see a little blue LED indicator light there on that switch. When that's on, you have a couple of 12-volt computer fans that are in the exterior compartment that help to circulate air up through the back of the coils, through the vent in the outside to help with the cooling efficiency of that refrigerator. And they draw very little energy, so very effective at keeping the refrigerator cool and helping it cool down on warm days, particularly when you're not moving. They draw, as I mentioned, little juice, so if you're on batteries, you can keep those running, it gives you a little bit improved efficiency. This is the power panel for the electrical, and a small drawer over top of that I've just got a few extra light bulbs and batteries, and there's some of the Froley sleep system components that you can use to tighten some of those up if you want a little more firm bed. A couple of storage drawers, foodstuffs, clothing, whatever you desire. More storage space under there where I've got some road markers, some hazard markers, a safety vest, a few more components to help with the FEMA rack. If you want to use it for kayak storage, there's straps and cushions and things in there that'll allow you to carry a couple kayaks on the roof. Now we're back up to the wardrobe, and you do have hanging storage. You can see there's quite a bit of space in there. I've got a few jackets, pants, some shoes, as well as I've located a charge wizard for the converter charger. And this is a nice little feature that allows you remote access and monitoring of the charge controller. So it's letting you know that it's on a trickle charge right now, maintenance by flashing. You can push a little button on there and cycle through both a manual charge as well as a booster charge to recondition the batteries. And it does have two AGM 110 amp hour batteries, so about 220 amp hours for the coach. Down below there, I've added a main disconnect for the solar panels. I showed on the outside video the 300 watts of solar. They run down through this disconnect through a fuse that's accessible underneath the wardrobe, and you can disconnect them if you need to service anything. So here is that sort of control wall where the panels are, and there's a few extras that I've added, and we'll kind of run through them completely here. The first thing down the lower left is the Truma, and that is your furnace as well as your water heater. It's a great system, very much improved over the earlier units that were in here. This is the thermostat for that unit, but it is fully adjustable through that touch control to control both your water and your cabin heat, propane and electric combination. So if you're plugged in and you want to save on your propane, you can do both electric heat and electric hot water through that system as well. Right next to that is the LP solenoid, and above that is the one-place monitoring system. And I'm cycling through the tanks, shows your black and gray and fresh, as well as the battery levels. And everything's fully charged up. Obviously, water pump control there. That's also the start and stop for your generator. It has a 2800 watt Onan generator that will run the unit very comfortably, and it's been well maintained and well exercised, at least an hour per month regularly. And so it's in really good shape. Starts whether it's hot, cold, whatever. It's pretty reliable. Next to that is the energy management system, and that allows you to select your service source. We'll select it automatically. You can override it if you have only 20 amp power, and then it'll help you manage the limited amperage that you have by shedding the water heater, the refrigerator, to prioritize the AC. And as I mentioned, that was actually wired backwards, and I, in talking to Precision Circuits, I think it is, was able to get that correctly rewired. Below that is a charge controller I added for the solar, and you can see it just cycling through the settings, showing you the total, the current condition of the battery. It does have a temperature sensor on the battery as well, and it's completely automatic and keeps the batteries if you got good sun exposure, will keep the batteries well serviced, running pretty much everything. Obviously not the air conditioning. Also installed a 1,000 watt inverter, Pro Watt SW. It's on a remote switch that I'm showing here. I've now turned it on, and that will automatically power all of the 120 volt outlets throughout the coach. So you can plug a laptop in, you can plug in your toaster. I've used it to make coffee in the morning without having to fire up the generator. Really nice if you make a quick stop, rest area or parking lot, and you just want to have quick breakfast or a cup of coffee. You can fire that up. You can basically leave it on because it has an automatic transfer switch wired into the system. So if you are plugged in or you start the generator, it will switch over to that power. But as soon as that line power drops off, the inverter will automatically, within just a very split second, switch over to the batteries and provide a continuous 120 volt to whatever you have plugged in. Standby usage is very low, so you would not hurt yourself leaving that on. Next to that is a thermostat, and in the floor, originally the floor was basically installed right over top of the metal. I went ahead and put in 3/4 inch of foam, as well as a electric radiant heat system, and then a new LVP floor over top of that. And it's very, very similar to the original floor, which you'll still see on the step up. But now I have a heated floor. If I'm plugged in at a campground and I set that thermostat to whatever temperature you want in the unit, it will actually provide some supplemental heat. It will not heat the coach by itself, but it will keep that floor nice and toasty. And I can tell you, when you step on that, if you get up in the middle of the night, step down, or in the morning if you're there, it's remarkably comfortable and really adds to the overall efficiency of the unit and the comfort of the unit, as opposed to it being just uninsulated as it originally comes from the manufacturer. And that floor is very easy to take care of. It's a luxury vinyl planking, which very, very simple to maintain. I also insulated behind the sidewalls and removed all the piping that originally ran to the toilet, and ran it through this little extension that I built at the bottom. So it stays inside the coach, back to the toilet, back to the rear water connections at the back door. I insulated underneath all the exterior walls, including the side wall. And this metal threshold you see running across here is where the water pipes come from the front. That box you see that's seat is the water tank, which luckily is already positioned inside the unit. But the both hot and cold water that used to run underneath the coach, unprotected, now runs flush with the floor and insulated. And I've had the unit down to about 12, 13 degrees Fahrenheit, and with the heat running inside the coach, everything stays perfectly fine. A lot of times will move one of my remote temperature sensors from the refrigerator into underneath the sink, just to make sure that doesn't get anywhere, and it doesn't even come close to a danger of freezing. That's that original floor that was in there. And then they have this elevated platform, which I've added the vent that you saw, and dump a little bit of heated air in there, and it maintains the coach at a real nice, even temperature. Here showing the TV that comes with the unit, and that's on a HD over-the-air antenna, or you can hook it up to cable at the campsite. Does a pretty good job. Next to that is a Jensen RV weather radio, regular radio, Bluetooth, and above that was originally a blank panel. And poking around, I determined that was unused space, so I went ahead and cut a hole in there and framed out this nice little recess. And as you can see, it's just a nice cubby. Again, space is at a premium, so anywhere you can find to add anything, to pick up a little bit of storage space. I can keep the remote, I can keep the tissues, the flashlight, whatever I need to handy for the table area. There is a little bit of a storage nook down behind the TV as well. Some switches to power the TV as well as the antenna system booster, and make all your connections. And you can carry a few items in there. Again, anywhere and everywhere you can find space. Up underneath there's a USB connection as well as a 120 volt outlet. And here's the computer monitor that I carry. I just kind of have it strapped in over top of the table, and that allows me to run my laptop as well as to watch movies and things. On the table, I went ahead and added a couple of cup holders, drilled those in, and that allows you to carry some drinks, some water bottle, whatever, while you're driving without fear of spilling those. It's original owner's bag with all the documentation on the unit, all the maintenance records and everything. Underneath that bench seat is your Truma, as well as your water valves. And again, I opened that up and fully insulated all that so that it's a heated space and everything is protected. Underneath the table, I noticed on this elevated section that there was really a lot of lost space. So I went ahead and picked up a marine hatch cover and went ahead and cut in a hatch there. And it's not real secretive space, but it's some nice space. You want to carry 2 or 3 bottles of wine, or you need to have some other storage that maybe isn't as needed to be readily accessible. It's a hatch, so it is fully supportive. If you stand on it, it's not going to cave in. Fits in there real nice, doesn't really get in the way, and just adds a little bit of extra space as well. So now, looking forward, move the fire extinguisher to what made to me a more logical location, which is closer to the kitchen and also accessible from the door from outside if you need it. And next to that, you see a little bracket that supports a cross beam to fill in the cushions here. You can convert the table area to a bed as well, and it's a very comfortable bed. We have some switches controlling the awning, an outlet to the far left. So below there we have the switches for the holding tanks. We have a gray water and a black water heat pad. They run on 12 volt or 120 volt, whatever's available. And there's insulation on the tanks as well as the heat pad. So while you're running with that's the water tank underneath that seat there, and that will keep the tanks pretty well protected in freezing conditions. A couple more things just to kind of give you a rundown of fuel options that I've got in addition to the floor that I mentioned earlier with the heat. There's a custom carpet runner that goes in there, fits in over top of the floor for a little more protection, a little more cushion when you're walking on it. And I also have some rubber tiles that will fit in there to protect it if you're carrying something, a bike or packages or shopping or whatever, and need a little more cargo carrying. It protects that floor, keeps everything looking real nice. In the front of the van, I have a WeatherTech runner or mat that will contain mud and snow and ice and that kind of stuff, and keep the front looking good. There's always been a cover down, so underneath of this is brand new. But I have as well the original Travato carpet that fits in the front, like a little T-shaped carpet with the Travato name sewn into it. That's almost original because I took it out very early in ownership, and I replaced it with an aftermarket version that's a little more sacrificial, and I've used that on long trips when I don't expect to be tracking as much stuff in there, and I want a little more comfort cushion up front, particularly in wintertime. That does a real good job. So there's a full shot of the van. As I said, everything's in great shape. It's original. I am the original owner, non-smoking, no pets. It's mostly been used as I mentioned, daily mobile office, and rarely camped in. Everything is operational. Everything's been customized to provide you with both on-grid and off-grid capabilities. And Really has everything that you might need to make it an outstanding travel vehicle. 4 belted seats, 2 at the bench, 2 up front, and sleeping for 2 adults and a child, or a couple of children perhaps, but really much better for a couple or a single. So if you do have any questions, give me a call or send me an email. Be happy to respond with any documentation or details. I recorded detailed videos of every modification that was made. So if you're so inclined to want to get behind the scenes and know how it's put together, I have quite a few videos that I put together to document every step of the way. Hope to talk to you about it. Thanks.